disrupted.
America that I thought weird thing to happen. Hello, one and all. Welcome to this edition of Kitz Corner. It's been a fantastic day so far. Super Tuesday happened, folks. Super Tuesday, Chaotic Tuesday, Bloody Tuesday. That could be a new song for you, too. It is the revelating day to find out exactly who is going to be in the players, the big fight, the big rumble of the election year. That is the big kind of controversy, this revelating day, to find out who exactly is going to be the centerfold in the battle of the electoral process. And it looks like, and we had a hunch going into this, but it looks like it's going to be another Trump v. Biden brawl, which the chaos still continues, ladies and gentlemen. And that means that Nikki Haley, the little warmonger that just couldn't. And she has now suspended her campaign and moving aside to allow Donald Trump to gain the recognition of being the front runner of the GOP. He is now the nominee after Super Tuesday. And this is what Nikki Haley had to say in response to this. And mind you that Nikki Haley was kind of that never Trumper establishment-like type. And here's how she kind of worded it in a kind of establishment tone way. Listen to this.
Likelihood Donald Trump will be the Republican nominee when our party convention meets in July. I congratulate him and wish him well. I wish anyone well who would be America's president. Our country is too precious to let our differences divide us. I have always been a conservative Republican and always supported the Republican nominee. But on this question, as she did on so many others, Margaret Thatcher provided some good advice when she said, quote, "Never just follow the crowd. Always make up your own mind." It is now up to Donald Trump to earn the votes of those in our party and beyond it who did not support him. And I hope he does that. In all
I feel really choked up for her in her moderate Siri-like voice. Seriously, could they just get an iPhone to say that? They not just pull up a Margaret Thatcher quote and put it in an AI voice? It's just, wow. That's like the most mediocre establishment talking point. The fact that she pulled out a Margaret Thatcher quote to be like, I'm independent. I mean, I'm definitely a Republican, and I support every Republican nominee because I follow the crowd. But this time it's different because it's Donald Trump. Does that make you really independent? Does that make you different from the crowd? Because everybody else in the GOP and the Democratic world are also never Trumpers. So how exactly are you an outsider by being so dead set inside the crowd? Oh, man. Oh, man. No, God bless her. God bless her. The little warmonger that could, and she can't. Clearly can't even compile a really thought-provoking ending speech to her campaign. Her suspension, it's just as terrible as her campaign was. So because now Nikki Haley has moved herself over to allow Donald Trump to become the official nominee of the GOP, Biden is now sweeping in because Biden is now looking at Nikki Haley as being this never Trumper and, an ex-Republican could be a little controversial in the Democratic world against Donald Trump because they didn't want his chaos. So we're going to invite her into our chaos. And this is, I do believe, from the Wall Street Journal. And I know it doesn't look like the Wall Street Journal because of, I bypassed the paywall. I'm not paying for the Wall Street Journal to get this ridiculous quote here, but this is what Biden had to say in response to this. So it says, President Biden told voters who backed Republican Nikki Haley that there was a place for them in this campaign. The former South Carolina governor suspended her presidential bid on Wednesday and declined to immediately endorse former President Donald Trump, the frontrunner for the GOP presidential nomination. In the final weeks of her campaign, Haley was increasingly critical of Trump. Biden said it took a lot of courage for Haley to run for president. And according to him, it took also a lot of head and shoulders as Biden was looking into that. Nikki Haley was willing to speak the truth about Trump, about the chaos and that always followed him, and about his inability to see right from wrong. I can't even say this with a straight face. The fact Joe Biden is saying this about Donald Trump, the chaos, the non-distinction between right and wrong. Boy, it's like the pot calling the kettle black. About his cowering before Vladimir Putin, Biden said, referring to the Russian leader. The president added he believed he could find common ground with Nikki Haley supporters on issues such as standing up for the rule of law, treating each other with respect, preserving NATO, and standing up to America's adversaries. Definitely sounds like the perfect lady to get into that it crowd. If only, Margaret Thatcher had another quote that said, I'm willing to, get into the inside, but pose myself as an outsider. I'm willing to take that special jagged route of getting so deeply inside that me as an outsider, or saying that I'm an outsider, is an obvious joke. If only there was a historical quote to mention there. But Joe Biden is trying to sweep in on Nikki Haley because Nikki Haley is one of these, critics of Trump. So, of course, the Trump v. Biden chaos still continues to endorse people like her, to endorse people like Liz Cheney. Remember, January 6th, Liz Cheney went alongside with the Democrats, and the Democrats, applauded her as some sort of visionary, even though Liz Cheney is the daughter of the notorious war criminal that got us into the 20-plus year chaos of war on terror. The absolute absurdity of all this, and the fact that this is it's like a science experiment just molting itself together of the Democrats and Republicans all colliding itself together to form the ultimate uniparty to think that they're going to take down a game show host, because that is how awful the establishment is. That is how gut-wrenchingly awful the establishment is, that it's taking all of its candidates, forming them together to take down a game show host. And not even a good game show host, I should add. So, then CNN had to chime in on this, and listen to how CNN, professional journalists, cover Nikki Haley's suspension and Joe Biden stepping in to basically take her under his wing. Take a listen to this.
Van, what does President Biden need to do at this point to earn those Nikki Haley supporters, bring them into the fold? We saw the Biden campaign putting out a statement from President Biden almost immediately after Nikki Haley walked off that stage in South Carolina. What do you think?
I think he needs to talk to her donors and her supporters and say, if you want to, a year from now, watch Russian tanks rolling through Europe, then endorse Donald Trump and get on that bandwagon. But understand, you're going to wake up one morning and you're going to see horror across Europe, and you're going to have American soldiers, sailors having to go over there and do something that we could have done with dollars, we're going to have to do with blood. If you want to continue to see the country being divided and unable to govern itself and treat itself well, get on that Trump train. But you've got a place over here. Now, he also, I think, needs to make a stronger case for what he is going to do to keep the economy moving in a good direction for people who go into grocery stores and can't pay for their groceries. He says he's going to sick the DOJ and the FTC on these grocers, these corporate grocers that are ripping off Americans. He needs to lean into that for the voters. But for the people like us who care about a democracy around the world, they have a binary choice. We're out of NATO and Russia is running over Europe, or you stand with Joe Biden.
Oh, dear God. Dear God. It is like comedic gold to watch professional journalists. When they mention Russia and they try to smear it as if it's a win for Trump, it's a win for Putin. If it's a win for Trump, that means North Korea is going to come in and China is going to take over and you know, all the craziness that's going to happen in the 4 years that we had Trump, it might happen again, even though it never happened in the 4 years, but it might happen. It's like watching an alcoholic at an AA meeting being such in self-denial that they're making an ultimate scene to excuse themselves of being an alcoholic. Like, I'm not a drunk. I'm not a drunk. I'm very sociable. I'm a social drinker. I just happen to be a social butterfly. You don't want me to be a bad host, don't you? I need to reach out to people. I'm a people person. I gotta please people. Yes, I hurled in your plant, but I'm a people person, and that's why I drank so much. I'm not an actual drunk. I care about democracy. I care so much about it around the world that I'm willing to sit in a $10,000 suit on television and tell you how much I care. My God. Is the whole absurdity. It's even the funniest part of Nikki Haley is her suspending her campaign. Like, out of all the time that she has been, you know, railing this campaign and going on debate stage and having her talking points and trying to be, you know, this, again, the warmonger that could. She wanted to be the Hillary Clinton of the GOP. And now that she suspended her campaign, the most interesting part of her campaign is the fact that she suspended it and everybody's freaking out about it. They're like, what are we going to do with these voters? These, you know, wine-dwelling cul-de-sac housewives have nowhere to go now. And the funniest part is, even now with Nikki Haley gone, because we know kind of the direction of demographics, if you will, those Nikki Haley supporters are immediately going to go to Joe Biden. Like, that's how messed up and mutated our politics really is. That's how messed up and mutated it is. It's like they are going to take everything they can, even the most absolute absurd stupidity of American politics, crush democracy, and go above the law to scrutinize the law, to make the law a joke, the judicial system a joke, to go after a game show host. Because that is how gut-wrenchingly awful the establishment is. And Nikki Haley is a member of the establishment. That's why she suspended her campaign. If she was actually hopeful, if they actually had a real chance to change her up and do the Kamala Harris hat trick where she went from 0 to, 50%. But they people see right through her. People saw right through Nikki Haley. They saw that she's a warmonger. They saw just how stupid her sound takes were when it came to, a win for Trump is a win for Putin, and we got to stand up, and we got to stand up against China, and we got to ban TikTok because youngsters dancing on the internet is somehow leading to Chinese communists stealing your information. As opposed to the handful of nice, polite American corporations that have already stolen your information regardless. They forgot to add that little detail, but, it's important to add to the conversation. So there you go. Super Tuesday, Bloody Tuesday. It's also fair to note that TYT's Cenk Uygur also dropped of his presidential bid, which I didn't even know he had a presidential bid. That's how, I guess that's how bad of a campaign it was. I didn't realize that the TYT host, the founder of the Young Turks, supposedly big online news platform, was running for president. I didn't even know that was a thing, but apparently he dropped out. So it really was a chaotic Tuesday. And it's still going to continue on because it looks like another Trump v. Biden brawl, and it's not going to look interesting. It's going to be two old fat geezers slapping arms and I don't know, making the loudest dad noises. Like the whole democratic process, the whole democracy, this, other countries are looking at this and wondering why the hell America still has elections at this point. So those are your two options, folks. My God, you better start swimming. You better start going to another country. Get far away from here as possible. If that's the only two choices, Godspeed. Godspeed.